Music Composing Gloves here, and today I want to talk about key signatures. Now, key signatures are not that big a deal to you MIDI people. They're just not. But they are a big deal because you will suffer they are a big deal, but you don't think they're a big deal. Most people don't think they're a big deal because they think they got their piano roll figured out. And people who like, oh yeah, I can do full composition with the piano roll, but then when you start working and you start realizing all these weird things, for example, key signatures are not, you just can't represent them here. You can't do it. So what do you do? Now, other DAWs might have this more intuitive. I've been thinking about it. I think Pro Tools MIDI notes switch the note names when you're working in a particular key. So it is way more intuitive in that regard. If ImageLine is listening, I need to really make a list of these things. I wish there was a way to set a key and set key changes. Like, it's not that, I mean, all you do is literally just change the labels at those specific spots so that when your playlist markers over it, it would change keys. Oh man. I'm going to start writing these down. I'm going to write this down right now. Key signature change on MIDI roll. I'm sure they have some sort of a form. I'm just going to start doing that. So, all right. So we have key signature change. Now, what am I talking about with this key thing? So when in written music, you have these things called key signatures. Ignore all the scary lines and stuff. Like right now, just focus on these. You remember these sharp signs? They're sharps. And you remember these B-looking signs? Those are flats. And occasionally, a scale's job is to create a tonal center, right? You have created a set of tones. You created a hierarchy to use. And so when you bring down one of these, you are going to... What happens is, in music, the music gets kind of cluttered because there's all these sorts of sharps just hanging around. Like every C is going to be sharp in D major. Just all of them will be sharp unless you specifically say that one is not sharp for some reason, which we'll talk about later. So instead of writing sharps everywhere, they just put these things at the beginning called key signatures, and they'll say, oh, these are sharp. Why am I telling this to you piano roll folks? Well, I'm telling you because what they'll do also is they'll change multiple key signatures, and what happens is a key signature defines the set of notes, but not the tonal center. So the scale defines the tonal center. So for example, you have C major. Let's write out a C major scale. So here's a C major scale. This same set of notes though, moved to A, is now A natural minor. Using all the same notes. So all the notes stay the same. All the notes are the same. However, and the key signature would look the same, but they're different notes. So we have a different tonal center. I want to bring you to be aware of this because later on, it's more intuitive to think in these scalier patterns, but they don't like reflect it with the proper flats or sharps. And so it becomes sort of a chore to do this in the piano roll. So I want you to be aware of this. The more I think about this, the more difficult it becomes to use minor or major scales. So I may keep things in the simple realm because there are all sorts of weird sharps and flats and stuff that come up later. I don't know. We'll see when we'll cross that bridge when I get to it, which will be very shortly. So I just want you to be aware that this, just because you're working with a particular set of notes does not necessarily, I just bit my tongue. It does not necessarily mean that you have defined the tonal center based on that. So these are all the same notes in C major. They're all natural, and they contain every note in C major scale, but they don't start on C. A is the most important this time. And we'll get into modes and things later, but you just need to be aware of that. And when you drag them up and down, you can see they do not preserve your scale. They preserve the minor scale, but they don't preserve the diatonic scale. So we're going to talk about diatonic in a little bit. But just so you're aware, key signatures are a thing, and they determine the tonal. They don't determine the tonal center. They're just an ease of writing tool, but they're a way of thinking about something, which is why it matters to you. It's a way of thought. There's more implications than just looking at it easier. Most people just think that that's what it is, but that's just it. It's a way of thought about it. And so you are going to suffer some of the side effects of this. Just wanted to make you aware. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.